I'm Dale Ann, and I'm CEO of Wellness Pathfinder. And I'd like to welcome you to this presentation. I am going to tell you a little bit about the story of my coming to terms with hearing loss and how essential oils can help you work through various feelings that come up from time to time as you are navigating the process. And I will take examples from my own life. So whether it's you or a loved one, I think it's really helpful for you to understand a little bit about what's involved with working through coming to terms with hearing loss. It's something that takes a while. It takes a number of years, but it really helps if there's somebody else who you can sort of do the journey with when you reach out to other people who have hearing loss and gain support and learn all the things that are going to be very helpful to you. So the information in this presentation is just a demonstration. It's not intended as medical advice. And I really encourage you to, if you have hearing loss and you're looking for some direction about whether you should get tested or whether you should get hearing aids, start with a physician, preferably an ENT doctor, ear, nose, and throat, and then an audiologist who will do the testing. And there are also organizations that you can reach out to help you learn about hearing aids and where's the best place to buy them and what to look for and all of that sort of thing. So what we're going to talk about here is I'll tell you a little bit about my story, and then I'll tell you about how oils help us process emotions. And we're going to work through 5 different emotions with examples from my own life. And I'm going to explain to you a process for resolving those emotions. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's something that needs to be repeated several times, but it is really helpful. Essential oils are powerful. So is an oils protocol, and then at the end, I will show you an oils collection if you're interested in purchasing oils, or if you have oils at home, then you might want to, it's just a list that's going to help you. But also, I encourage you to take screenshots as I go through this, because I will give a number of different oils that you can use for each application. And then finally, I have a free download for you. And I hope you'll stick around for that, because I think you'll find that very helpful. I started my music education at the age of 8. I played the piano, and I was musically active, playing the piano, playing for church, playing for choirs, singing in choirs, playing in the band, all of that during the time I was growing up. And my hearing loss really started showing up when I was in high school. But that was after I had a strep infection at the age of 12. And for the strep infection, I was prescribed an antibiotic. And I believe now that that antibiotic contributed to my hearing loss as it later developed, because I didn't know at the time, neither did my parents, that oftentimes antibiotics, those that end in mycin, MYCIN, can have this side effect of damaging hearing. So when I was in high school, my hearing was failing, but I wasn't aware of it. And so I wasn't able to make any accommodations. I didn't sit in the front of the class. I didn't let the teachers know, all of those things that could have helped me excel in high school. But my marks went down from the time I was in primary school. I was at the top of my class. And by the time I finished high school, my marks were really average. I was diagnosed at the age of 26 with hearing loss. I went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and then I went to an audiologist. And then within a couple of years, I did something that seems kind of odd. I had this really strong feeling that I wanted to go back to study the piano. I hadn't played the piano for about eight or 10 years at that point. And so I started doing that, and that led to teaching. And actually, that was a wonderful thing because teaching has been my primary purpose in life, I think. And it led to some very gratifying years teaching children piano and a music program. And then when I was in my mid-40s, I went back to college, and I was able to get funding for a note taker and assistive listening devices, which was really, really helpful. So I'm grateful for that. It's weird, everything just seems to work out the way it's supposed to. When we Yeah. So when we live with hearing loss, we go through kind of predictable feelings of grief, really. You grieve the sense that you're losing, whether it's sight or hearing, or I imagine, touch. Um, life has to change, and you're not sure what that's going to look like. And so you go through, this is not good. When you're coming to terms with hearing loss, you go through a lot of feelings that are similar to the stages of grief. And so grief is a part of it because you are losing a sense. You're hearing. It happens with sight as well. But when you're losing a sense, you have to go through that grieving period because you're having to leave something behind, and your life is changing, and you have to come to terms with that. And you have to figure out where your place is and how you're going to navigate your world, your new world. So feelings of grief, humiliation, rejection, irritation, and controlling behaviors. They're just a part of coming to terms with hearing loss. Now, the interesting thing is that smell accesses the limbic system of the brain, which is the seat of emotions. It's only smell, not touch, not any of the other senses. It's only smell that does this. And studies at New York University proved that the amygdala gland and the limbic system gland, it's the limbic system gland that stores and releases trauma in the body. It only releases emotional trauma through the sense of smell, not any of the others. Emotions have been found to be encoded within the DNA of the cells. So sesquiterpenes are a chemical component of some of the oils. They help to increase the oxygen in the limbic system, which in turn unlocks the DNA and allows emotional baggage to be released from cellular memory. Interesting. And sesquiterpenes are found in high levels in frankincense and sandalwood. Emotions are stored in organs, glands, and body systems that have a corresponding frequency. That's fascinating. High-quality essential oils have a high frequency, and they transfer that frequency to the body. So this is an outline of the oils protocol, application protocol that we're going to be talking about, and it just kind of encapsulates it so that you can go back to this later and you can use it as a guide. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to go through this for each emotion that we talked about. You're going to choose an oil and apply it in a specific place. Then you're going to ask yourself a question that's related to that feeling. You're going to state an affirmation. And finally, you're going to visualize the opposite or something to help you resolve that feeling. And you're going to repeat this frequently over a period of days and sometimes weeks. You might start with one, do that for a while, and then you do another one for a while. There are different ways to do it, but it's a process. That's the most important thing. So the first one we're going to talk about is grief. And, hearing loss is subtle. Any loss requires an adjustment. So I remember when I used to wake up, when my kids were small, I used to wake up every day hoping that I would find a cure that day, right? I didn't want to have hearing loss. And then I mentioned the stages of grief. So there's denial. That was denial. And then there's anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. And it's not a linear road with any sort of grief. It's the same thing. You're going to go 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and it happens over a period of time. However, using the oils can really help to move that along. So you would choose either Console, the oil of consolation, Easy Air, which is the oil of breath, Geranium, the oil of love and trust, Siberian Fir, the oil of aging and perspective, generational healing, Manuka, which is the oil of being upheld, and Lime, which is zest for life. I'm going to demonstrate this with Console. And the alarm point where you apply the oil is the adenoids alarm point. So 2 points either side of the nose, midway between the bridge and the end of the nose. So right about there. This point is easy for you to see. The others are not so much. So you would apply that there, and then you would ask, what did I lose? What will it take to process that grief and move forward? Well, I've lost a sense of hearing that I can rely on. I've lost confidence. And I'm feeling really unhappy about the fact that I'm not hearing the way I used to, and I don't know if it's ever going to get better. What will it take to process that grief and move forward? So you think about what that might be and declare, I am now finding new hope each day. I can now allow grace to carry me. Because those affirmations will help you to move forward. And finally, you visualize a weight lifting off your chest and allowing your lungs to expand and receive an abundance of pure oxygen and light. Now, I find it helpful to, at the same time, to put the oil in my palm, to rub my hands together. And to breathe that oil in. Because remember what I said at the beginning. The oils activate the limbic system. And the limbic system helps us to resolve emotions. Okay. So what's the next one? The next one is humiliation. I was afraid to speak in large groups because I was afraid that somebody else would be talking and I wouldn't hear them. And then I would start talking and I'd actually be talking over top of them. I felt really embarrassed by that. And I was afraid of missing something important. So I was listening really hard and I was trying to make my contribution, speaking my truth, at a time when nobody else was talking. And sometimes I didn't time it right. So for this one, cassia or rose? Now, rose is the oil of divine love, and it's said to have one of the highest frequencies of any essential oil. Cassia is the oil of self-assurance. It's similar to cinnamon. The alarm point for this oil for humiliation is 2 points either side of the midline between the bottom of the ribs and the umbilicus. So the bottom of the ribs and the belly button, either side of the midline. So you would take the oil and you would apply it there. And as you're applying it, you ask yourself, what caused me to feel humiliated? So what caused me to feel humiliated? I felt humiliated because I spoke when somebody else was speaking, and it was like I was interrupting, and that was rude. So that I felt humiliated by that. And then you say, it is now safe for me to learn and make mistakes. And finally, visualize surrendering the box of humiliation that was once inside your body and allow love to fill its place. So Rose will help you with that. Next, we have rejection. I felt rejected when I was not able to follow the conversation with my family at the dinner table or in a group. I felt like everybody was having a good time and talking to each other, and I was just kind of sitting on the sidelines. What that reminds me of is conversation is sort of like bouncing around like a ping pong game, except the balls don't go back and forth. They go every which way. And they're going all over the place. And it's really hard to concentrate on that. It's really hard to follow the conversation. So I felt rejected. Apply to the alarm point. So, lavender. We can use lavender, which is the oil of communication. Cinnamon, oil of harmony. Lime, zest for life. Clove, oil of boundaries. Marjoram, oil of connection. Claricom, oil of vulnerability. Or Litsea, oil of manifestation. And the alarm point is 2 points either side of the midline below the thymus. Now the thymus is right about here, sort of where my pendant is sitting. So the 2 points either side of the midline below the thymus, so right about the breastbone, and then either side. And ask, have I felt rejected by another? Yes. What might be limiting that person from giving the love that I seek? Did they forget? Did you ask them? I have learned that I need to ask, because if I'm feeling upset about something and I haven't asked, there's no point, right? I can now accept that I am loved and valued. I'm now ready to love myself. And visualize yourself surrounded and held by loving white light. Irritated. When I'm trying to follow conversation, it's really hard to, I'm hoping you can see this. It's really hard to concentrate. It's really hard work. You get tired. And when I get tired, I feel irritated. And so that's a good time to just kind of move away, recharge my batteries, and then come back. So for this one, you can use Forgive, which is the oil of forgiveness. Whisper, which is the oil of femininity. Or Citronella, the oil of averting. Useful when allowing irritations to build up over time, assists in breaking the addiction to feeling irritated and annoyed. That's an interesting point. So, head of the pancreas alarm point, below the left nipple and towards the midline. So obviously you can't see this, but that's where it is. And you ask, I'm going to use Forgive for this. I will put it in my hands. after I've applied it, and ask, what does this trigger reveal about my subconscious beliefs? Do I have a subconscious belief that people should be paying attention? They should be helping me. What subconscious beliefs might you have in a situation like that? A new affirmation is, I now release the pain of the past. I'm now open to healing and wholeness. It seems to me that affirmation helps us to move forward instead of being stuck. It helps to work through that irritation. We've identified it, and now we know what we need to do to move past it. And then finally, visualize yourself looking for holes inside your mind, heart, or body. Choose a nurturing color to fill up and soothe these holes. I like that. All right, and then finally, we're going to move on to the next one, if I can get it to work. Humiliation. We did that one already. Controlling. Now, I've used the word controlling. And what that feels like to me is I'm always hypervigilant. And so I'm always in my sympathetic nervous system. Not always, but often. I'm in my sympathetic nervous system. I'm on high alert. And what that does, of course, is it releases cortisol in the body and it releases insulin. And so your cortisol should not be flooding you all the time. It should be going in ebbs and flows throughout the day, throughout the 24-hour day. So we can choose cilantro, which is the oil of releasing control. Cinnamon, the oil of harmony. Wintergreen, the oil of surrender. Cypress is the oil of motion and flow. And arbor vitae is the oil of divine grace. Peace is the oil of reassurance. And adaptive is the oil of adaptability. So you apply the oil, in this case, I'll use peace, and you apply it to the stomach alarm point, which is 2 points between the breasts. And ask, what is preventing me from trusting that all will work out as it should? Because really, that helps, doesn't it? Everything will work out as it should. And declare, I can now accept that all things work out for my greatest good. And visualize yourself laying down the defenses that you've been holding on to and stepping into grace. It's not easy, but it's doable. Now, I told you that I would have a free offering for you, and that is my communication tips. So I will put a post in the, I'll put a link in the show notes so that you can download this communication tips poster. I've made it in a portrait format poster so that you can put this on your fridge or in any place where other people are going to see it, because it really helps if other people are reminded. It helps to make you, it certainly helped to make me less resentful, because if I know that something is right there, then there's no reason why people can't just take a look at it and remind themselves to get my attention before you speak. Face me when you speak. because if the person is looking away, the voice is going in that direction. It needs to come here. Speak clearly, but don't shout. Just because I have hearing loss doesn't mean my ears won't hurt if you shout, because they will. Keep hands away from your face, because if you have your hand over your face like this, or kind of like this, it impedes the flow of sound, and I can't hear you very well. Wait until the background noise stops before you speak. Position yourself in good lighting, because I'm going to speech read your face. That means your mouth, and it means your eyes and all of your expressions. Sit across from me so I can speech read. Once in a while, I might ask you to sit on my right side, especially in a noisy restaurant. But normally, if you're across from me, then I've got a really good view. And in groups, only one person should speak at a time. Remember the ping pong game? Ping pong balls? Yes, it helps if only one person is speaking at a time. Otherwise, all the signals get mixed up. So finally, these are some of the oils that I used. And if you are interested in ordering these oils, you can go to this order link. You might want to take a screenshot of this. And certainly, if you have any questions, please reach out to me and I can help you, because you may not want these, you might want something else, or you may have something else and you're wondering if you can use those. I'd be happy to speak to you about that. And this is how you can connect with me. My email address, my text, my website, and there. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. I have done this because we're all working through something right now. And if this is something that you need help with, I am just really gratified that I was able to help you. So please take care, reach out if you'd like, and remember to like and subscribe to the video, and then you will see others that I post on my channel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.